The envelope trembled in Maya's hands. Inside was a piece of paper that would destroy everything she thought she knew about the last 12 years of her life. The DNA test results. She had raised little Joshua since he was 3 days old, loved him, sacrificed for him, defended him. She had fought her own family who said the child would ruin her life. She had worked 3 jobs to give him a good education. She had stayed up countless nights when he was sick, celebrated every small victory, wiped every tear. And now, staring at these results, she realized the cruelest truth of all. Her husband, David, had been right when he swore Joshua was his son. But there was something he never knew. Something that would make Maya question every moment of her marriage, every sacrifice, every choice. Joshua wasn't David's biological child, but the real father? That's where this story gets darker than anyone could imagine. But this story didn't start with the DNA test. It started 12 years earlier in a small apartment where Maya believed she'd found her happily ever after. 12 years earlier. Maya was 23 when she married David. He was handsome, charming, and came from a good family. Everyone says she was lucky. Her mother threw a beautiful wedding, and Maya believed she had found her happily ever after. But marriage has a way of revealing truths that dating hides. David worked at his father's construction company, but he spent more time drinking with friends than actually working. Money was always tight. Maya worked as a nurse at the local clinic, and most months her salary was all they had. Still, she loved him. Or maybe she loved the idea of who she thought he would become. Everything changed one rainy Thursday evening. Maya came home from her shift to find David pacing in their small living room, his phone pressed to his ear. His face was pale, his hand shaking. "I understand," he kept saying. "Yes, I'll handle it, I promise." When he hung up, he couldn't meet her eyes. "David, what's wrong?" Maya asked, her nurse instincts sensing something terrible. He sat down heavily on their worn couch. That was Sarah. Sarah! David's ex-girlfriend before their marriage. Maya felt her stomach tighten. They had dated for 2 years before David met Maya. Sarah had moved to another city shortly after their breakup. Maya had never met her, but she'd seen photos. Beautiful, confident, successful. "Why is Sarah calling you?" Maya's voice was calm, but her heart was racing. David's next words came out in a rush. "She had a baby 3 days ago. A boy. She says he's mine." The room spun. Maya grabbed the arm of the chair to steady herself. "What?" "It was before we got married," David said quickly, desperately. "Right before. We ran into each other at a bar. I was drunk. It was one stupid night, Maya. One mistake. I didn't even know she was pregnant until today." Maya felt like she was watching this scene from outside her body. Where is she now? At City Hospital. She's sick, Maya. Very sick. Some kind of infection after the birth. She's in intensive care. She has no family here, no one to take the baby. She asked me to come get him. For 3 days, Maya couldn't think. She couldn't eat. She stayed with her sister, trying to make sense of what her life had become. Her marriage was crumbling before it had truly begun. Then she made a choice that shocked everyone. Maya didn't speak to David for those 3 days. She stayed with her sister, crying, raging, trying to understand how her life had fallen apart so quickly. Her sister Grace held her hand. "Leave him. You're young. You can start over." Her mother was more blunt. "A man who cheats will always cheat, and now he wants you to raise his bastard child?" Absolutely not. But something kept pulling at Maya's heart. A baby, an innocent baby who didn't ask for any of this. A baby who was lying in a hospital nursery with no one to hold him, no one to love him. On the 4th day, Maya went to City Hospital. She told herself she just wanted to see if David was right. She told herself she was just checking, just confirming, but deep down she knew the real reason. The nurse led her to the nursery window. "That's him," she said, pointing to a tiny bundle wrapped in blue. "Joshua. No one's come for him yet except his father, and he only stayed a few minutes." Maya's heart cracked open. Joshua was small, so helpless. His little fists were curled up by his face. As Maya watched, he opened his eyes deep and dark, seeming to look right at her through the glass. Can I hold him? Maya heard herself ask. 20 minutes later, she sat in a rocking chair with Joshua in her arms. He was warm and smelled like baby powder and milk. When she touched his little hand, his fingers wrapped around hers with surprising strength. He looked up at her with those deep eyes, and something inside Maya shifted. This wasn't about David anymore. This wasn't about betrayal or hurt feelings. This was about a child who needed someone. "I'll take care of you," she whispered. And so it began, 12 years of sacrifice. 12 years of loving a child the world said wasn't hers. 12 years that would lead to a truth no one saw coming. They told Maya that Sarah never woke up. The infection spread too quickly. She died 6 days after giving birth, never knowing that a stranger would raise her son. Maya made a choice that shocked everyone who knew her. She stayed with David. She took Joshua home. She became her mother in every way that mattered. Her family was furious. "You're throwing your life away for a man who betrayed you." Her friends whispered behind her back. "She's crazy. She must have no self-respect." But Maya saw something they didn't. Every time she looked at Joshua, she saw possibility. She saw a chance to give a child the love every child deserves. And maybe, in some small way, it gave her purpose when her marriage had left her feeling empty. David was grateful at first. "Thank you," he said over and over. "I'll make this up to you. I'll be better." But gratitude fades, and people rarely change as much as they promise.
David loved Joshua in his own way, but he was never really a hands-on father. He worked irregular hours, still drank too much, still spent money they didn't have. It was Maya who woke up for midnight feedings. Maya who sat through parent-teacher conferences. Maya learned how to braid hair when Joshua insisted on growing it long at age 7. Maya worked double shifts to pay for Joshua's school supplies, his soccer uniforms, and his birthday parties. Joshua was a good kid. Smart, kind, funny. He called Maya Mama from the moment he could talk. He never knew Sarah. As far as he was concerned, Maya was his mother, the only mother he'd ever known or needed. And Maya loved him. God, how she loved him. It surprised her sometimes, the fierce protectiveness she felt. She would have walked through fire for that boy. But her marriage? That was a different story. By Joshua's 10th birthday, Maya and David barely spoke except to argue about money or whose turn it was to pick up Joshua from soccer practice. They slept in separate rooms. David spent most evenings at the bar with his friends. Maya stayed for Joshua. She told herself that as long as David didn't bring his dysfunction home, as long as Joshua had stability, she could endure. 2 years passed like that, quiet, tense, barely holding together. One afternoon, everything changed. Joshua collapsed during soccer practice. One moment he was running down the field, the next he was on the ground, his coach calling for an ambulance. Maya's nursing training kicked in even as her mother's heart was breaking. She rode with him to the hospital, holding his hand, praying to every god she could think of. The doctors ran tests, blood work, scans, more blood work. Dr. Chin called Maya into his office 3 days later. His face was serious, but not without hope. Joshua has a rare blood disorder, he explained. It's treatable, but he'll need regular transfusions and possibly a bone marrow transplant. We'll need to test family members to find a match. Test me, Maya said immediately. Test his father, whatever you need. They tested Maya first. Not a match. Her blood type was O positive. Joshua's was AB negative. That's okay, Dr. Chen assured her. Let's test David. David came in the next day, still smelling faintly of beer, but sober enough to give blood. He sat next to Maya in the waiting room, and for the first time in years, they weren't fighting. They were united in fear for their son. Dr. Chen called them back into his office that evening. His expression was confused. I need to run the test again. There must have been some kind of error. What kind of error? Maya asked, her nurse brain already sensing something wrong. David's blood type is O positive, same as yours, Maya, but Joshua is AB negative. That's not genetically possible from two O positive parents. The room went silent. David's face was drained of color. What are you saying? I'm saying we need to retest. There could have been a sample mix-up at the lab. But there was no mix-up. They tested again and again. The results were always the same. David could not be Joshua's biological father. It was genetically impossible. The doctors ran test after test, blood work, scans, and then came the result that made no sense. The result that would unravel 12 years of assumptions. Maya sat in Dr. Chen's office alone this time, her mind racing through 12 years of memories, looking for clues she'd missed. Could Sarah have lied? She asked quietly. Could she have been with someone else? Dr. Chen hesitated. It's possible, but there's something else, Maya. We need to find Joshua's biological father. For the transplant, AB negative is rare. Having a biological parent as a donor would significantly improve his chances. That's when Maya knew she had to find the truth. Not for herself, not for David, for Joshua. She started with the hospital where Joshua was born, the records from 12 years ago, Sarah's admission forms, emergency contact information. There was a name listed under baby's father, David Thompson, but there was another name too, one that had been crossed out but was still barely visible. Marcus Rodriguez. Marcus Rodriguez? Maya didn't know that name. She hired a private investigator. It took 2 weeks and most of her savings, but they found him. Marcus Rodriguez, now 38, living 2 hours away, working as a high school teacher. Married. 2 kids. Maya stared at the hospital records, her hands shaking. If David wasn't Joshua's father, then who was Marcus Rodriguez? She had to know. For Joshua's life, she had no choice. Maya drove to his house on a Saturday morning, her heart pounding. When he answered the door, she saw it immediately. The same dark eyes, the same shape of the face. Joshua looked like this man. Marcus Rodriguez? Yes, can I help you? My name is Maya Thompson. I need to talk to you about Sarah Mitchell. She watched the color drain from his face. Sarah? I haven't heard that name in years. Is she okay? She died 12 years ago, shortly after giving birth to your son. They sat in Marcus's car, parked down the street from his house. He didn't want his wife to overhear. His hands gripped the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping him upright. I didn't know, he said, his voice breaking. I swear to God, I didn't know she was pregnant. Maya listened as the story poured out of him. Sarah and Marcus had dated for 3 years. They'd been engaged, but Sarah's parents disapproved. Marcus came from a poor family and was working his way through community college. Sarah's parents wanted better for her. They pressured her to break up with me, told her I'd never amount to anything. Eventually, she gave in. She said we wanted different things. She moved away. I was devastated. When did you last see her? Marcus closed his eyes. About a year before she died, she came back to town for the weekend. We ran into each other at a coffee shop. It was like no time had passed. We talked for hours. One thing led to another, and we spent one night together. Just one. Then she left again. I never heard from her after that. She called my husband 3 days after giving birth. She told him the baby was his.
Marcus's chin clenched. David Thompson. She started dating him right after we broke up. Her parents approved of him. Construction company family, good prospects. The bitterness in his voice was sharp. So she lied to him? Let him think. We've been raising Joshua as David's son for 12 years, Maya said. But he's not David's. The DNA test proved it. Joshua needs a bone marrow transplant, and we need to find his biological father.
Marcus stared straight ahead, tears streaming down his face. I have a son? You have a son, and he's running out of time. 2 days later, Marcus arrived at the hospital. A stranger, a teacher, a man who had no idea he had a son. They drew his blood in silence, both afraid to hope. Marcus got tested the next day. He was a match. Perfect compatibility. The doctors were thrilled. But now came the hardest part. Telling Joshua. Maya sat on Joshua's hospital bed, holding his hand. David sat in the corner of the room, looking broken. Marcus stood by the door, nervous, hopeful, terrified. Baby, we need to talk to you about something important, Maya began. Joshua looked between the three adults, his young face confused and frightened. Am I going to die? No, Maya said firmly. We found you a donor. You're going to be okay. Dad's a match? Joshua looked hopefully at David. David's eyes filled with tears. No, son, I'm not. But this man is. He gestured to Marcus. Joshua looked at Marcus, at his own face reflected in an older stranger's features. He was a smart kid. Maya watched as understanding dawned in his eyes. You're my real dad? Joshua's voice was small. Marcus stepped forward, tears streaming down his face. I didn't know about you. If I had known, I would have been there from the beginning, but I'm here now and I'm going to help you get better. Joshua looked at Maya, panic in his eyes. Mama? Maya pulled him close. I'm still your mama. That will never change. You are my son in every way that matters, but Marcus is your biological father, and he's going to help you get well. Does this mean you and Dad are going to split up? Joshua asked, his voice muffled against her shoulder. Maya looked at David. They'd been holding on for so long, pretending for Joshua's sake, but maybe the kindest thing now was honesty. We're going to figure things out, Maya said gently, but no matter what happens between the grown-ups, you are loved by me, by your dad, and now by Marcus too. The call came 24 hours later. Perfect match. After 12 years of secrets and confusion, finally something true could save a life. The transplant was successful. Marcus was there every day, learning about the son he never knew he had. He brought books, played card games, told stories about Sarah that made Joshua laugh and cry. David came less frequently. The revelation had broken something in him. He'd spent 12 years believing Joshua was his son, loving him as his son, and now that truth felt like quicksand beneath his feet. One evening, David pulled Maya aside in the hospital hallway. I'm sorry, he said, for everything, for cheating, for being a lousy husband, for making you raise a child that wasn't even mine. Maya looked at him, this man she'd spent 15 years of her life with, and felt only sadness. Joshua is mine, David. He's been mine since the moment I chose to love him. Biology doesn't change that. I know. You're a better person than I ever deserved. He paused. I'm going to move out. Give you space. I'll still help with Joshua, but I think we both know this marriage ended a long time ago. Maya nodded. There were no tears, just relief. Yeah, I think it did. The surgery was successful. Joshua healed. But the real healing, the kind that happens in hearts, that took longer. 6 months later, life had found a new rhythm. Joshua recovered fully, the transplant worked, and his prognosis was excellent. He split his time between Maya's apartment and Marcus's house, slowly building a relationship with his biological father and his half-siblings. It was complicated and messy and sometimes painful, but they were figuring it out. Maya and David divorced quietly. He moved in with his parents, started going to AA meetings, and slowly became more present in Joshua's life than he ever had been before. Sometimes it takes losing everything to understand what really mattered. One Saturday afternoon, Maya and Marcus sat on a park bench while Joshua played soccer with Marcus's other kids. They'd become friends, bonded by their shared love for the boy running across the field. Can I ask you something? Marcus said. Sure. Why did you stay? When David told you about Joshua, you could have left. Most women would have. Why did you choose to raise another woman's child?
Maya watched Joshua score a goal, his face bright with joy. When I held him for the first time, I saw a baby who needed love. That's all. It wasn't complicated. He needed a mother, and I wanted to be that for him. She paused. I think maybe I needed him too. My marriage was already falling apart. Joshua gave me purpose, gave me a reason to be strong. He's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have him, Maya smiled, and I'm glad he has you now too. Every child deserves as much love as possible. Marcus nodded. Sarah would have liked you. She always wanted Joshua to be loved. Maybe that's why she called David instead of you, Maya thoughtfully. She knew David was married. Maybe she hoped whoever he married would be the kind of woman who'd choose love over anger. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the children play. As Maya watched Joshua laugh with his half-siblings playing in Marcus's backyard, she finally understood. This messy, complicated, beautiful family, this was what grace looked like. 3 years later, Joshua turned 15. They threw him a party with both families present. It was chaotic and loud and beautiful. As Maya watched Joshua laugh with his siblings, talk with Marcus about college plans, and joke with David about soccer stats, she realized something profound. Life rarely goes the way we plan. We make choices based on incomplete information. We love people who hurt us. We sacrifice for causes that don't always make sense to others.
But sometimes, in the middle of betrayal and pain and impossible situations, we find opportunities to become better than we ever thought possible. Maya had raised a child born from her husband's infidelity. She'd been called crazy, weak, a doormat. People said she was wasting her life. But looking at Joshua, healthy and happy and kind, she knew the truth. She hadn't wasted anything. She'd built something beautiful from broken pieces. Joshua came over and hugged her. Thanks for the party, Mama. It's perfect. You're welcome, baby. I know things were hard, he said quietly. I know I made your life complicated, but I'm glad you didn't give up on me. Maya held her son close. You never made anything hard, Joshua. You made everything worth it. 3 years later, Maya looked back at that trembling moment with the DNA test in her hands. The moment that could have destroyed her. Instead, it set her free. That night, after everyone left and Joshua was asleep on the couch, Maya stood on her balcony looking at the stars. She thought about the girl she'd been at 23, so sure she had everything figured out, so certain of who she was and what her life would be. That girl could never have imagined this life, the heartbreak, the sacrifice, the unexpected joy. But that girl had been given a gift she didn't know she needed. A chance to love someone completely, without condition, without expecting anything in return. And in doing so, she discovered who she really was. Not David's wife, not Sarah's replacement, but Joshua's mother and her own person. Strong, capable, full of love.